Hello. Today I will be making a build that I've kind of been experimenting with for the past 2 weeks maybe. I'll be commenting on a build even, not making a build. Anyway, the build in question is the Stealth Montana. I've actually been testing it quite a bit lately, and even though it can be quite situational at times, I've still found it better than a normal build. Now, the usual build I've been running would have been Vigilance, Superintendent, and then Manual AA and AFT. Basically, you get all the standard battleship captain perks. Very straightforward, very standard. The same stuff you run on the Yamato. But lately, what I've been doing is I've been changing for the stealth module, and I've been running, well, stealth module I've always been running, but I've been also running concealment expert. And as you can see, it gets my detectability down to a nice 13.4 kilometers. For those that aren't aware, that's actually better than the stealth on the Moskva. The Moskva has 13.8, so you can literally get your stealth lower than that of a cruiser. So very potent. And most of all, it's quite useful on the Montana because the Montana isn't really that good at long-range sniping. Long-range sniping isn't really the Montana's thing because the AP penetration isn't exactly reliable, especially against battleships. Like cruisers you can still delete from range, but against battleships it's very unreliable. And there's of course the issue that you don't really want to get caught in the open by Yamato shooting you. And with this build you can see I can always select when I choose to fight. In this case I chose to fire right before I'm getting behind this nice huge rock, which will cover me from any return fire. I saw where the Yamato was, so I knew that this rock would cover me from any incoming fire. It gives you the advantage of being able to choose your battles. Now in this case there's a CV. They're kind of rare in T10, but I mean it might happen, so I might as well include a battle where there's a CV present that kind of messes with your plans. In this case it's a T10 CV. Once again quite rare, but they do exist. So I'm permanently plane spotted here. But I kind of like my position. I'm very close to A, so I can cover A. I've also got this huge rock covering my right flank against both the Montana and the Yamato on the enemy teams. And in order to be torped here, they kind of need to torp through this small alley. And it's not that, even though I know that the Kagero is there because he was just spotted, it's not going to be very easy to hit with here. Sorry about that. Oh, a bit tired. My bad. Anyway, in this case, I'm detected. Now, for example, now I know I'm detected. So the simple fact that being detected right now tells me that there is a DD still here. There's a DD somewhere within A that's spotting me, because all the cruisers that I saw were outside of my spotting range. So more than likely there has to be a DD that's shooting me. So of course I'm accused of it. I start reversing, and lo and behold, there's the torps that would have hit me otherwise. The Kagero is still in the cap. So I'm able to reverse out of the way of any torps. I'm keeping myself angled against these battleships, and of course, as I said earlier, the huge rock is covering me from any unwanted fire from the Yamato and the Montana, who could really exploit me giving a broadside to them. So right now, that's the thing that I've honestly liked the most about this whole stealth build. It's not per se the fact that you're constantly stealthy and such, it's the fact that you are very much able to choose your battles, and you're able to get into good positions before the battles actually begin. Very much in this case, I was able to get into this very nice cover behind this rock before the battle actually even started. So I was already in a great position, and I really like this spot. I have no intentions of moving away from this spot. I got nice angles. The only people who can shoot at me are the people I'm actually shooting at, like the general direction I'm shooting. And I can't be flanked, I can't be shot from any sides. This is a very good spot. And that's kind of been my point with this whole build, is the fact that it lets you choose your battlefield, and also it lets you close the distance before you actually engage to a point where you can actually be effective. And there's nothing more annoying when you run the standard Montana build is being spotted very far out, and then you kind of struggle to get into a good position because in the open sea, the Yamato Yamatos love to see Montanas in the open sea moving towards them, because that's all they need to shoot at. They can pen them from any angle, they can absolutely destroy them, and this build kind of robs them of that ability. and instead lets you always get into that optimal position. And that's honestly been one of my key points or key things that I've enjoyed about this build is it lets me it prevents me from being bullied as much by Yamatos as you normally do when you play the Montana, because you're always going to be playing second fiddle to a Yamato. There's no way of getting around that. Yes, you can switch to HE and you can spam HE and get fires on him and such, but ultimately he can do the same damage in one volley that it takes you like a lot of RNG and multiple volleys to do with HE. So ultimately you're still lagging behind, and when you use HE you can't really shoot at any other targets, or you can, but your damage is going to be lacking and so forth. So it's going to be tough. This is something I've been seeing lately. I feel this guy goes reported cheater because he detonated in, oh my god, a destroyer. No one has ever heard about the destroyer detonating before, so obviously the guy who detonated him must be hacking, so reported cheater. I've been seeing this a lot lately, like more and more in the game. People report and accuse people of hacking and cheating and such a lot more often, and I don't really understand where it's coming from. Like, I cannot say with 100% confidence that I have ever met a cheater in this game, and I've played this game for a year now. I played T10 tons of different ships. I played every tier, and I can't say that I've ever actually met a legit hacker. Like, even someone who's using aim assistance or something, it's very hard to actually tell if they're using it, because good players aim just as well as aim hackers. So I've never actually been able to tell if someone's been cheating. So that's why I always boggle my mind how these people sometimes decide that the enemy is hacking. Like, I never really know what they like base that on. Usually it comes down to them dying, so the enemy must be hacking. Now, thanks to this typhoon, I was able to close the distance. I saw where the Iowa was, of course, so I chose to engage at an optimal angle where I get to exploit his broadside, and his return fire, as you saw, did very little. I'm gonna hit a torp here, probably a gearing torp, but I took it on the torpedo belt, so only 10k damage thanks to the reduction, so not too big of a deal. Once again, target picking, why you go for the angled Iowa when there's a North Carolina behind him giving significantly more broadside. No Citadel though, I only actually hit 2 shells, that's a bit underwhelming. But he's giving more broadside now, maybe I can... Let's see, where are my shells going? They are going where I want them to, underneath the front turrets, because that's where I like the Citadel North Carolinas, and Iowas in general. Maybe I should have gone for his central structure Citadel instead, because it is larger, but I feel it's easier to pen that front Citadel. Once again, CV is here. I focus fire them, because that's another thing that you kind of lose out on when you go with the stealth build, is of course, when you go with the stealth build, you have to give up things. In my case, I've given up Superintendent, which means you lose out on 1 heal, and I've given up manual AA, because AFT is more effective than manual AA is. So if you have to choose one or the other, then picking AFT is always going to be better. So in this case, I've lost out on some healing, and I've lost out on some AA. And now, honestly, of those two, the healing is probably the bigger loss, because usually CVs tend to try to pick other targets than a Montana. Usually they go for the Montana when there's really no other targets left. They will rarely pick you as the first target they want. So not that big of a loss. Losing the manual AA I don't consider a big loss, but the healing is definitely something you'll notice, because having 4 heals when everyone else usually has 5 heals, that does kind of sting. But then again, on the other hand, thanks to the stealth build, you are kind of able to play around it. You're able to get into positions where you can reduce the amount of damage you take, and you don't really take that much damage in the start of the game, because thanks to the stealth you can kind of choose when you're detected and when you aren't, very much like a cruiser. If here, of course, I saw on the minimap there was a Yamato fighting our Yamato, so I'm gonna go help him. Sadly only my front turrets are turned, but even the front turrets, to Yamato giving broadside, the front turrets can do a lot of damage. I think that Yamato shot at him at the same time. Trying to get my turrets to turn. I'm also kind of turning a bit because there's a gearing on the right that my secondaries were shooting at. Let's see if I can help him finish this guy off. Nice, I did get a citadel. That should help him, but I didn't get the kill, but I did get to help him make sure the guy died before he could fire back. So at this point we've kind of secured the cap. Typhoon of course played a huge part in that, but it wasn't so much the actual damage dealt during the Typhoon that I wanted to highlight. It was more the fact that the positional advantage that I had during that entire fight. I got into a position where I was very hard to get rid of, and where I was very protected, and where I had most of the advantages during the entire fight. Now, let's see what this gearing. I'm gonna turn my guns this way. Kind of want to go towards the midway, somewhere up there. Focus firing some of the planes again. Oh, there we go. There's the gearing. Once again, sadly, I only have one turret turned. Even though the turret traverse on this ship is significantly better than that of the Yamato, it's still not that good. Pretty unlucky dispersion. He's within my secondary range though. Okay, once again, we have another player in chat accusing someone else of hacking. In this case, it's in North Carolina that's accusing a Montana of hacking. And that just makes me laugh, because honestly, I don't understand. Yeah, he's reporting the Montana for hacking once again, or for cheating, and that's something that's I swear I've been seeing this a lot lately. This whole cheating thing, like I don't understand where it's coming from. Like has someone made some dumb thread on some forum or something, and people have been reading into it or something. Like I don't understand where has this come from. I feel like this is like there was this stuff back when that whole aim mod thing got popular. There was a lot of people accusing others of aim mod or using aim assistance or something, but that kind of died down. But now there's been a resurgence of this stuff again. Okay, so his reason for reporting is he did 45k damage in one volley, which on a Montana towards a North Carolina, that's not exactly hard to do. I mean, if you give broadside, that's cheating, man. He says, see? He's literally, like, this is someone who's reached T8. I don't understand this. Where has this come from? Like, you guys gotta tell me, have I missed some thread? Or some huge topic or something? Like something on Reddit, something on the forums? What have I missed that's gotten people all up in arms about cheating? He had no citadel. Is it really trying to say that Montana was hacking by having no citadel? First he was cheating by doing 45k to him, but now he's cheating because he had no citadel. And for those that actually played the Montana know that the citadel on the ship is absolutely massive. It's just useless game. Yeah, I don't understand this. I really don't. On another point, I really don't like the fact that these typhoons last so fucking long. I don't like that they can last this long. I wouldn't mind typhoons that last like a couple of minutes, but these typhoons that can last anywhere up to 12 minutes are absolutely ridiculous. Like, when this happens to Russian cruisers or Russian DDs, they get absolutely murdered. I don't know what they were thinking. It looks like finally it's fading. I'm starting to get some vision back. I just report him. Okay, so he's just gonna report that Montana because he got killed. And finally get vision of the midway. Here's another case though where stealth build is kind of nice. I kind of get the jump on him. He had no idea I was here until I actually fired, so he has no time to move. And I did over 50k damage in a single volley, which according to this Swifty guy would basically mean that I'm also hacking. Today I learned. It looks like I'm learning something new every day in this game. I kind of wish I had that no Citadel Montana hack though. Man, that would make life a lot easier against enemy Yamatos. Anyway, game ended, 209k damage. Not really the point. I got kill stolen like mad, as you can see. Holy shit, 3.1k XP and a top score? What the hell? Wow. Fucking kills. I didn't get a single kill. Fucking kill stealers. Anyway, moving on to modules and upgrades. Alright, as usual, I will start with the modules. Since it's a T10 ship, there's not much to talk about. Consumable wise though, always get the premium repair. The premium heal might also be quite worth it. Mostly because you get an additional charge, which is what truly makes it worth the cost. Considering how expensive a full repair of a T10 battleship is, spending some money on your survivability is usually worth it. Upgrade wise, main armaments mod. It's pretty straightforward since the other two are useless. Here I prefer AA guns because, well, once again, these are mostly useless. Range is absolutely useless for you. You don't need additional range, like seriously. Anyone who takes range on a T10 battleship is brain dead in my opinion. Third, here there's some option. There's artillery plotting room for reduced dispersion, and then there's of course the one that I use, which is faster reload at the cost of some turret traverse. I've tried them both actually quite extensively, and I far prefer main battery mod 3. I think it's much nicer for this. And third, damage control, reduce the risk of fire and some reduced torpedo damage as well. The other two are fairly useless, since if you lose rudder, it's mostly because you've taken a torpedo. Same reason if you lose engine. Damage control system, here once again there's some option. You can take the steering gears for 20% faster rudder shift time, which is actually quite significant considering how slow the rudder shift on the ship is. So switching this around gives you a significant boost in it. But personally I prefer the reduction in fire and flooding, because fire is something that you will feel a lot of, especially in T10 with basically everyone being able to spam HE on you from ridiculous ranges. So I prefer this one, but here there's some choice. You can use the steering gears if you find yourself getting annoyed with the very slow rudder shift. And fifth, stealth. This is obviously a huge part of this build, running stealth that is, so minus 10 to detectability is very much preferred. And captain perks wise, here it is actually quite interesting. This one will, in 0.5.9, they will basically be giving everyone situation awareness. So this build will actually become really good then, because what I do now is I go situation awareness, basics of survivability, expert marksman, vigilance, and advanced firing training for better anti-air and secondaries, and finally a concealment expert. But in 0.5.9, when they will give you situation awareness for free, that actually frees up, because these two are fairly pointless, these 2 points. I kind of only put them here because these are the best points to use them on. But once this becomes free, that means you free up 1 point here and you free up 2 points here, a total of 3 points, which means you'll be able to spec only basics of survivability, and you'll be able to get superintendent for that additional heal. So this build will actually be really good in 0.5.9, because you'll be able to get basically both superintendent and vigilance and still run this whole build. So I'm really waiting for the next patch to respec this captain, and then I think that this build will simply become even stronger. Anyway, this was my short commentary on my Montana stealth build, which I have been actually enjoying quite a bit. I'll talk to you guys later.